The big tax overhaul being debated in the Senate will not pay for itself, according to a new analysis by Congress's nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation. As NPR's John Isty reports, that's counter to the claims of its Republican backers.
Republican lawmakers and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin have said the tax cut that amounts to $1.4 trillion over 10 years will pay for itself. They say tax cuts for businesses will spark growth and boost tax revenue enough to offset lower tax rates. But even though it used a method called dynamic scoring that accounts for that added growth, the Joint Committee on Taxation found the Senate bill would fall $1 trillion short of paying for itself, adding to the national debt.
Senator Charles Grassley is an Iowa Republican. He's on the Senate Finance Committee, and he's a supporter of the Senate tax bill. He joins us. Welcome to the program, Senator Grassley.
Glad to be with you. Thank you very much.
I want to hear from you. What happened to your concerns about deficits and the size of the debt, which would go up by $1.5 trillion, it said, under this bill?
It's because of the concern of the debt that we're very much writing this bill. And because over the last 8 years, the economy's only grown on an average of 1.4%. The 50-year average is about 3 to 3.5%. So we have a situation in our country where the economy isn't growing. And the whole idea behind this is that we get the economy growing at 3% so we can start to pay down on the national debt like we did between 1997 and the year 2000.
But you agree that before you begin to do that, this bill would increase deficits and the debt by at least $1.5 trillion. Some would say, unless you really do take away middle-income tax cuts, $2 trillion, right? Are those numbers about right?
Yeah. If you look at it on paper, the way the Congressional Budget Office puts things together, that is right. But here's what it leaves out, is if we can get just 0.4% growth in the economy, then that is made up.
But since the president says the economy is going gangbusters right now, and there was a good growth figure, doesn't that show that you can have it without cutting taxes by $1.5 trillion?
And we can have it more.
If corporations get tax breaks on their profits and on money they bring back to the U.S. from overseas, how do you know that they'll use that money to either expand or to hire more Americans or pay them more, as opposed to, say, paying out more in dividends and in bonuses?
Either way, the money is in the country, and today it's overseas, and it's not doing us any good overseas.
I want to ask you about estate taxes. The Tax Policy Center estimates that nationwide, only about 80 family-owned small business and small farm estates will face any estate tax in 2017. Why is it so important to raise the ceiling on estate taxes when already a couple can pass on an estate of up to $11 million tax-free?
I suppose to show appreciation for people that have lived frugally early in their life, delayed spending so they could save. It seems to me there ought to be some incentive and reward for those who work and save and invest in America, as opposed to those who just live from day to day. You could take the same $100,000 income for two people. Yeah. One of them, they spend it, have it all spent at the end of the year, and the others have saved a fourth of it and invested and create jobs and leave something for the future. The first person leaves nothing for the future. Listen, in no way is my statement meant to dispute the statistics you gave me. Mm-hmm. I'm giving you a philosophical reason for recognizing savings versus those who want to live high in the hog and not save anything or invest in the commodities.
Yeah. One last question. The last big tax law in 1986 was approved in the Senate by a 97-3 vote. There were long public hearings over it. There was obviously strong bipartisan support for it. Are you at all concerned that the way in which this tax bill is being passed sets a precedent for rushing big legislation through, for not inviting lots of public comment, and for not striving for bipartisan support?
Well, public comment would come from the 70 hearings that we've had over the last 6 or 7 years on taxes. So there's nothing new you can quite add to that.
Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, thanks for talking with us.